Now I got nobody here to watch the commercials. I got to for everybody to come back here. I do commercials and everything on this on my stream, so now I gotta hopefully people come on here and realize that I'm live again. Now I'm frozen. YouTube sucks, man. Video capture. There we go. Okay, see if I get everybody back now. Anyway, that was a good question. Yeah, the Flurry trade was way out from left field. I really didn't see that coming at all. I don't know, John, but we're back. I guess I'm not doing a commercial today, I guess, because that pretty much was the commercial time. Hopefully we get everybody back here again. We got a guy on TikTok here. Can I look at who that is? Nick. Oh, I'm not even following you. Follow you, Nick. Nick99. This guy has been watching me. He's my first TikTok person that comes on here and watches all the time. It's friggin' awesome. And he asked me, what do you guys think about the Flurry trade? We only have, are you still there, John? I'm talking to myself here now because my stream ended, nobody came back. You can't hear me. Holy crap, now what happened? Audio input capture. Why not? You should be able to hear me. How can you hear me now? Oh yeah, it's not going all the way up. What the heck? Oh, that's why. You can't hear me because I don't have my headphones on. There, how's that? Can you hear me now? There you go. Stupid, I gotta put my headphones on. Okay, you like the Flurry trade? Yes. White Joe likes the Flurry trade. I lost everybody, Joey. I hope they come back. That's good. So I'll just continue going on to contenders and non-contenders. Well, we know the Colorado Avalanche is a contender for sure. Here's an interesting one. The Vancouver Canucks. The Vancouver Canucks, you gotta remember, like, year before last, they ripped up the playoffs pretty darn good, and they made a really interesting trade getting JT Miller, or getting Connor Garland and Oliver Ekman-Larsson, who wasn't playing well the last 2 or 3 years in Arizona. Hopefully we'll get a new life there in Vancouver. But Hughes, Myers, Larson, Hamonic, Juolevi, and Tucker Pullman doesn't scream good defense to me. That's really would be the biggest problem I see with Vancouver. I think their top 6 is good enough. For sure. Peterson, Besser, Miller, that's a beautiful top line. And then Pearson, Horvat, Garland, that's a darn good second line. And then you put Hoagland with Dickinson and Podkolzin. Like, I love their forwards. Depending, I don't know what that Podkolzin kid's going to be like, but from what I've heard, everybody's going to love him. So, should be that. You don't think Vancouver's going to be Hill signs with San Jose Sharks. Yeah, I don't know. They really love that Hill guy. I'm thinking that Nabokov was the one that did that. I'm thinking it was Nabokov that came up with that idea to bring over Hill. He's going to work with him. He sees a lot in him. He kind of reminds me of Smith in a way. I don't mind their bottom six. It's going to depend on what that Podkolzin kid does, I think. But, I mean, I like Hoglander. I don't even know if Hoglander should really be considered a bottom six. So, but with, I would actually put Hoglander up on the second and bring Pearson down. But I do really like Dickinson. They got Jason Dickinson from Dallas. He's not going to put up huge points, but he's a solid third line center. And then Brandon Sutter, he's in the right spot now. He's on the fourth line. Highmore and Mott, I think. I like Mott, but I don't know about Highmore. Yeah, that fourth line's got energy, but it's not very big. It's going to be relying on speed. It's their 5-6 spot. Oliu Levy hasn't yet been able to put it together in the NHL. And Tucker Poolman is not good. That is not a guy you want in your top six. So that's going to be the biggest thing there. And they don't really have much coming up the pipeline on defense either. Like Brad Hunt and Jack Rathbone. Not a very, nothing really steps out and says, okay, they're going to take a spot in the NHL. So I think their overall defensive depth is probably going to do them in. Mac Hollowell, very good for the Leafs. Really? Since it's just you and me now, because I lost everybody because the freaking thing went down. Oh, they have Jet Wu. I forgot about Jet Wu. Why do they put him so down so low? Did he? Oh yeah, he played in the AHL last year, but he didn't get many points. Yeah, he got 5 points in 28 games. And then he was playing for the Moose Jaw Warriors. And when he got drafted, I believe he had lots of 66 points in 62 games. And then he totally regressed to 46 points in 64. And now it's questionable whether he'll be an NHLer. What was I going to look at? What did you say? Oh, yeah, Hollowell, Toronto. Hollowell. Mac Hollowell. 22 years old. 4th pick in 2018. 10 points in 27 games. He played in the ECHL the year before, probably to work on his defense. Niagara Falls, Ontario. 5'9"? He's only 5'9"? Oh, that he needs to get his offensive production way up before we can consider him a contender to play for the 5'9" and only had like less than a 0.5 per game in the AHL. That doesn't look too good. That doesn't look too good. He played in the AHL, yeah, but he's so small. I think he's a little ways away yet before he even really gets a chance. The Minnesota Wild, you can't put them as a contender now, can you? After the moves they made, it's still got to try to sign Kaprizov. Apparently, I heard something like ridiculous, like $13 million a year, but their top six is fantastic. I think they gotta move on from Fiala. There's just not a spot for him unless they're gonna play Greenway on the third line, and I know they want Greenway to be playing in their top six. I think they're gonna use Fiala to get more secure defense, because as it stands, like Kulikov and John Merrill as your 5-6 is not the greatest. I did like the Goligoski pickup for 1 year. I think they're going to use him to get some defense. And then, of course, they do have that kid. Do they have him in minors? Addison. But he's a smaller defenseman as well. Minors. Where the heck is Addison? Ryan O'Rourke. They got a couple guys coming up. Do they have him on the lineup right now? Scratches. Oh, Kalen Addison is a scratch. They better hope that. I think they got to hope that Kalen Addison can beat out Merrill at this point. John Merrill. John Merrill's just not he's pretty ordinary defenseman. Wherever, buddy. Victor Rask could be traded. Yeah, I mean, could be. If they're out of it at the deadline, I imagine Victor Rask would get them something. Oh, I know. I don't know what happened. Actually, I do know what happened. I didn't have my computer charged. And it died on me. That's what happened. I lost my TikTok person even. So we were talking about Minnesota. Minnesota can't really be seen as a contender now with after losing the players that they. I don't think so. Yeah, it's a pretty big jump, but their coach is fantastic as well. They got Dean Evison is an awesome coach, so they just might be able to do it somehow. But I doubt it. They're going to probably make the playoffs. you look at the roster and you got to remember the greatness of their coach because we were just talking about their top 6 is fantastic in Minnesota. But that defense now with Merrill and Kulikov as their 5-6 spot, Kalen Addison, and then after that, there's not much. So if they run into injuries on their defense, could be pretty rough for them. Hockey all day, all night. Sweet. I'll be right back. Just 1 second. I'll be right back. I got to shut this door here. Johnson is not signed by Minnesota. What do you mean? Are you talking about St. Louis? Thanks for coming in, hockey all day, all night. We were talking a whole lot of Toronto earlier. We were talking big time Toronto. Now we're talking about Minnesota and whether they can be considered a contender. I say no, but Dean Evison scares me, man. Dean Evison looks like he can turn a lot of teams into contenders, but Kulikov and Merrill in the 5-6 spot does not look good. They might not be done yet, though. There's still some work out there. $13.5 million for 8 years could be. He's got them completely under the gun. He's got them completely under the gun. If he's totally willing to go back to the KHL, what's Minnesota going to do? They got to pay him. You can't. Where are you going to get that kind of talent? Where are you going to get that kind of talent? I mean, it's a sad thing. It's like, yeah, salary cap's going up by $1 million. Not much, but it's something. Leafs probably out first round. I don't know. I think they made some really good. Oh yeah, right. I think they made some really good moves as far as their offense is concerned. That could work out really well. Like Richie could work out really well. There's a whole bunch of guys that the players that they plucked off the kind of like the scrap bin were good. I like Bunting a lot. I don't know. I like Bunting a lot. I don't know if he's going to be able to play like a whole lot of minutes, though. That's going to be the interesting thing to see. He's a pretty small guy. I don't know if he's going to be able to handle the abuse in the NHL. But I thought Richie was a pretty good move. Kasha they're like low risk, high reward. Or no reward. Richie hasn't been able to find his niche. He was putting up some decent offense in Boston, but I think there's something outside of the rink with him, too. That I know Boston really doesn't like the guys to be partiers and stuff like that, be clubbers and all that. Hopefully that's what it is, because he was turning it around there in Boston. It could be a really good move. Kasha, again, he looked like he was going to be ripping it up for Anaheim, and then he got a really bad knee injury or something, and he hasn't been doing well since. So Again, like maybe it doesn't work out, but they're trying to take some players off the scrap heap and hope that maybe two of them work out, I think. And if two of them work out, that depth looks a lot better. And then at the trade deadline, they'll try to add some more. But my thing with them is Mrazek. I just don't like Mrazek. Yeah, they have some cap space. I really don't like Mrazek. That's why I think that I can't put them as a contender. And Campbell hasn't put it all together for an extended period of time yet either. So, yeah, I think so. He's stubborn with those big contracts with Marner, Nylander, Tavares. The one that Tavares is the one that makes sense as far as Marcus Johansson. Yeah, somebody will sign him to like $2 million in the last second. That's what always happens with Johansson. He's like a utility guy that you fill all over your roster. Somebody will sign him to $2 million the last second. I think so too. Could you trade Tavares now? I mean, man, it would not look good. It would not look good. Plus, he's got a no movement clause. He'd have to agree to it. It would not look good to the rest of the league to do what they did with Tavares and then go around and trade him a couple of years later. But they've got the excuse of COVID in their back pocket right now. And, the cap situation and all that kind of stuff like that. But the thing about trading Tavares is you pretty much got to trade him to wherever he wants to go. No. I know you're probably going to say Marner or whatever because he didn't have great playoffs, but that's a 100-point winger, man. John Tavares is getting older, yeah. But the problem with Tavares is, again, you got to treat him right or you're never going to get a free agent to go to Toronto. I mean, you still probably will because it's Toronto. I don't know. It just feels it would be really hard on the team itself if they trade Tavares in a way that doesn't give him the respect he deserves. Let's put it that way. I mean, no Nylander, as in don't trade Nylander, because I think Nylander is going to be a beast this year. I think Nylander is going to go off this year. But if you want to trade Nylander, I think you could get a really good return for him. The thing is, and then you're going to have to give him another contract anyway, so it's possible that Nylander is a guy. Yeah, you can't trade Marner. Nylander doesn't give you as much cap room. Yeah, I think Nylander's going to be just unreal this year. I do. I think Nylander's got a 90-point season in him. But I get it. Like, you got to trade someone. And Tavares might be just too hard on the room to trade him. It might be too hard on the room to trade Tavares. So, I mean, because, like, to do what they did and to dispose him like that, that's one of the things you got to look at when making trades is how is it going to affect the culture and what you're trying to do there, like, and their respect they have for the organization. So if we were to do Nylander, people better be, if I'm going to trade Nylander, you better be respecting him as a 80-point winger. What's his, he's getting 6-7 million, isn't he? Yeah, just under 7 million for the next 3 years. Hey, well, happy birthday to you, TikTok person. We're talking hockey here. I hope you know that already. You could trade them all over the league. I mean, you would get a crap load for Nylander. And I bet you wouldn't even have, you could trade, he doesn't have a no movement clause or anything. No, he can't. I don't think so. Yeah, I better make sure. No, he doesn't have a no movement clause. So that was the thing about trading John Tavares. He has a no movement clause. So that makes it tough. Yeah, I don't, it would be tough to trade Tavares, but the thing about trading Tavares is he has a no movement clause, so you might not get all that much back for him. That might be the biggest problem there. You think Nylander is going to get traded for sure? Really? I get what you're saying, though. He is a guy that you could trade and not have to get cap space back. Although you probably want players back. You could probably get NHL ready players for Nylander. I'm just trying to think of some teams that would do that, something like that. New Jersey Devils. New Jersey Devils, I bet you could get Kaukonen and Wood. Or Wood, Jesper Bratt. And maybe a first-round pick. Wood, Jesper Bratt, and maybe a first-round pick. That would give you more forward depth. It's not going to help on defense any, but both of those, Wood and Jesper Bratt, what are their contracts like? I should have looked at that first. Wood would be a restricted free agent at the end of this year. And Jesper Bratt would be a restricted free agent at the end of this year. Both of them, you could probably get signed up for about what Nylander was making. And then the first round pick could be very good. Yeah, it's hard to trade wingers for defensemen, though. Especially young defensemen. It would have to be a team desperate for scoring and really, really deep on D. I'm sure that it's just hard. Let's look at that. If you're trying to get a defenseman, and then like you're back to needing a forward again too. Like, who has really deep D? Carolina, but Carolina's got enough offense of their own. They don't need to go get a guy like Nylander. Nashville, maybe? What are you going to get? Like, when they still had Ellis, they might have been able to do that, but they don't have Ellis anymore. That's tough. That's a tough trade. The Colorado Avalanche, possibly, if they have problems scoring this year after some of the moves they've made. Because they have JT Compher on their right side. He hasn't really put it together offensively so far. And they've got, like, a lot of good defensemen. I would do it straight across for Bo and Byram, but I don't know if they would. Bo and Byram looks pretty sick. Nylander straight across from Bo and Byram, but then you got you watched the video today? Good. I'm glad you watched the video today. But then you got the cap issue, so you got to throw in a player and Byram. That's going to be a tough deal. You got to get a $7 million defenseman back for a winger. And albeit a really awesome winger, don't get me wrong, but I think that's tough. That's tough. That's going to be tough sledding. That would be a tough move to try to get a good, solid defenseman for a winger, even as good as him. You guys have any ideas of who you would trade for a defenseman? Like, what team could afford to give up a defenseman of that caliber for a winger? I just don't see it. Colorado's the only one, maybe. So that doesn't give you all that much leverage if you're looking for something like that. Yeah, it's hard to trade wingers for defensemen, especially if you're trying to get equal value for a guy like Nylander. Maybe Dallas, actually. Maybe Dallas. But I don't know if they have enough depth to take. I just thought about that. Dallas. They would want to get younger, so there's one check mark. A sick player like him. They're not going to give you Heiskanen, but you might be able to get Klingberg. You might be able to get John Klingberg. But, I mean, that's putting a lot of pressure on guys like, Andrei Sekera and Yanni Hakanpää. And as far as their defense coming up, Dawson Bartow. I have no idea who that is. They got Thomas Harley coming up, but he's a left defenseman. But he's nowhere near ready yet. He's nowhere near ready yet. They do have Thomas Harley coming up. He's a left defenseman. But I know he put up sick offensive numbers. He put 25 points up in 38 games in the AHL last year. And he's big, 6'3". They might be able to survive with that, and they definitely would could use the offense. That's who I would think would maybe might be able to get away with it with Dallas. If they could see the value in Nylander as a 90-point winger. Yeah, that would be the other one. They could definitely use that sexy guy like Nylander to sell tickets. That would make sense. Lindholm plus. I'd want more than Lindholm. Or, yeah, Lindholm and Larson. You could get maybe Lindholm and Raquel, but that would be going and screwing up your cap already. So that's an interesting one. Anaheim for sure. So you go Lindholm is a left defenseman, but maybe Lindholm, Sam Steele, and a second round pick or something like that. Lindholm. Oh, you got it. You got your car, Lauren. Welcome back to the live, my friend. You got your car. Sweet. Awesome, man. So we were just making a trade for Nylander to Dallas. (2022) Kia. Nice. Nice. Well, thanks for coming in, Lauren. I had a whole bunch of people here, and I ran out of power on my laptop, and I lost the stream. Oopsie. I'm gonna probably have to cut it off early here. I gotta grab a little bite to eat. I'm going to see my daughter tonight, so I think I'm gonna cut her off a little bit early. Yeah, it's okay, Lauren. I know you just got in and everything, but I think I'm cutting it off early today. I'll see you guys tomorrow afternoon from 1 o'clock to 3 course, or 3 till 5. And we'll talk more about all of this stuff then. I got to get going. My daughter's coming over. We're going to go out for coffee. And I forgot all about it, to tell you the honest truth. Thanks for coming in, guys. It was an awesome stream. Have a great day. Okay, bye.